Hi, this is a Ground Force Commander simulation developed by Junyao, Andrew Brown, Clarence, Hardwick, Brandon Searle, Malik, Busch, and Collin, DeNooyer. Our sponsor tasked us with creating a mobile app to bridge the gap between their current two existing methods of training Ground Force Commanders, one being large-scale Hollywood production and the other being pushing sticky notes on a table. The main components of the simulation's task training were asset management, contingency management, and effective decision-making with limited information. Our team's approach to this was creating a sandbox simulation that would give instructors the versatility to build various scenarios to test the skills of their Ground Force Commander trainees. This simulation was developed for Android mobile devices using the Unity game engine, and scripting was done using C#. The simulation features that were implemented to achieve these goals were a drag and drop menu to provide military asset allocation, which is under the asset management confinement. The SMEAC button, which is military terminology for defining the scenario, which goes into contingency management. Limited trainee view and control also goes into the asset management and decision making with limited information. A timer restraint goes into contingency management throughout the scenario. The chat box as a mode of communication for also furthering contingency management.
Now moving on to the simulation. The simulation begins in the connection lobby, where players sign in and choose their role as instructor or trainee. At the top, if instructor is chosen, you must name a room to create the lobby. After doing this, you're taken to an area where you can define the SMEAC fields to set the objectives for the mission that will be carried out during this scenario. While this is going on, the trainee is taken to the lobby where they wait for this to be done. Upon the completion, both players must ready up. After both players are readied up, the game may begin. As gameplay begins, you can see the trainee at the bottom opens the SMEAC menu to find out what the situation is and what mission will be carried out over the course of this scenario. At the top, the instructor is allocating enemy assets to the field, setting the stage for the simulation. Enemies put directly onto the map will be the direct combatants of the Ground Force Commander. To the upper left, there is an in-orbit section in which aircrafts that will be over the game field will be placed. Next, the instructor is allocating the resources that the Ground Force Commander will be able to use themselves during this situation. The assets placed here are the only assets the Ground Force Commander trainee will be able to directly control. All other components of the simulation will be controlled by the instructor. Once the initial setup is complete, the instructor will open the chat box and instruct the trainee to begin the mission. When this chat is sent, a notification icon will pop up on the trainee's chat box button. The trainee can then open and respond to this message, as seen at the bottom. As the trainee responds, it can be seen at the top the instructor is setting the time for the scenario. Once this time is set, it will appear on both screens, for the instructor and the trainee. As the scenario unfolds, communication between the instructor and trainee can be done through the chat box, as seen on screen now, with the trainee letting the instructor know that he'll be moving his forces into a position to the north of the city. Once this is done, the instructor, still with unlimited control of assets, can make any new contingencies by adding new enemy assets to the playfield. This change creates a contingency that the trainee must respond to. The trainee has a number of ways in which they could respond to the situation and has freedom to do so with the allocated assets they have left. In this case, the only asset that the trainee still has is air support. So that's what they'll be calling in. To exemplify calling in air support, the trainee will take the last remaining asset and move it into the in-orbit area. The simulation would carry on until the instructor deemed the scenario was complete.